Hi everybody. Today I'm going to be running you through 3 different exercises that are meant to really expand the senses and our perception and our conscious awareness of things that we aren't normally aware of, not in our waking conscious. So the first one is one that you've probably done before many times, and some of you, if you haven't before, then this is new, but let's do this one again. So putting your hands facing one another out a little ways, I want you to slowly bring your hands toward one another and really feeling the space in between your hands is what you're focusing on. Both the surface of your hands and the space in between your hands. And what you're looking for is a change in perhaps the density, a tingle, or a little bit of a bouncy feeling. And when you come up on one of these, I want you to just kind of feel around that bouncy edge. And it could be that your hands end up being closer together or farther apart, that's fine. But just spend a few moments moving in and out with your hands, feeling into this. And what you're looking for is something very subtle. It's not going to be obvious. It's very, very subtle. So here I'm finding a little bit of what I would call a membrane, a change in the space between my hands. And so I'm gently just kind of going back and forth and moving into it. And then I can move beyond that, just move into there until I find another one that might be a little bit closer. And then I'm doing the same there. So spend just a couple of moments playing with this space and feeling into that. Very subtle. Sometimes it's a tingling, sometimes it's warmth or coolness, sometimes it's like a resistance, like something is pushing back. That's what you're looking for. Now, an interesting variation on this exercise that you can do if you have someone with you, or an animal, or even a plant, is to move your hands out beside the person, or the animal, or the plant, slowly moving in and seeing and feeling the same thing as when you're hitting layers and levels of an energy field. And what's interesting is if you're doing this with a person, have them also just put their awareness around themselves and see if they can feel when you touch on these edges of these fields, or what we believe are edges to fields of energy fields. So that's a way to expand this exercise if you decide. Okay, so time for exercise number 2. And for the second exercise, this is based on work done by Dr. Blackburn. I've lost her name. One of my teachers, Judith Blackstone. So this is done by Dr. Judith Blackstone. It's called the realization process. And this is a process that I actually teach and is part of my own personal practice. We'll be using a really small sliver of this. And it's just to give you a taste of how we can shift our awareness or expand our awareness into the space that we occupy. And so what I'd like you to do is get comfortable, and if you like, close your eyes, sit in a meditative pose in your chair or sitting down, but just somewhere where you can be comfortable, and move first your attention inward. And so it's often best done closing your eyes at first when you're first encountering this exercise. It can be done with eyes open. But just bring your awareness inward. And bring your attention to your breathing. And just for a moment, feeling yourself breathing smoothly in and out. each breath, just feel yourself come more deeply into your body, more fully into the present moment. And now I'd like you to feel like you're inside your whole body, so that you are inhabiting your feet, your legs, your torso, your arms, your neck and your head, feeling like you're inside your whole body, inhabiting that entire internal space of your body. And it's okay if this doesn't really make sense to you, if these words don't make sense to you, but just feel like you're inside your whole body, inhabiting that entire internal space of your whole body. And now mentally find the space outside your body, the space that's in the room. And experience that the space that's inside your body and outside of your body is the same continuous space. It pervades you. And that space that pervades you and your environment, it pervades everything in the room, all of the objects in the room, all of the space in between. And see if you can stay in your body as you're experiencing this. So using the breath as kind of a guide. That's your location in space, staying inside your whole body as you experience that the space that pervades you also pervades your environment, everything in your environment. The same space pervades the walls of the room, the ceiling, and the floor. That you are now just breathing your location in all pervasive space. And that from this location in all pervasive space, you can allow the space to provide you information, since it's all part of the same space. From where you are, you can sense and perceive what the space might feel like on the other side of a wall, behind you or above you, a few feet to your right or left. Just spend a few moments exploring, breathing in your body, and allowing the space to perceive what it feels like in these different locations that are around you. And now return your focus to that of being inside your whole body, really feeling yourself sitting there inside your body. And then open your eyes and go ahead and allow yourself to adjust your consciousness to normal waking day consciousness. And that is exercise 2. Okay, so for exercise 3, we're going to be using bits of what we did in exercise 1 and exercise 2, kind of building one on the other. So what I'd like you to do is to, once again, just move your hands back and forth, getting back into that feeling of perhaps feeling a very subtle change in the space in between your hands. It's just really refining this kinesthetic sense of feeling what's in the space. And then what I'd like you to do is to stand up and raise one of your hands up into the air. It can be your dominant hand, your non-dominant, it really doesn't matter. Sometimes it's best to start with a dominant because your kinesthetic senses might be a little bit more refined with a dominant hand. And I'd like you to start moving your body slowly through the room and using this hand as kind of an antenna, a feeler, as into what the space is feeling like up above you in the room. And so just feeling into what are you encountering, not trying to give it any meaning. This means that all you're doing is feeling. Like sometimes you might feel a little bit more tingly feeling, or perhaps the air feels heavier. The space feels heavier in one part than another. Perhaps you're not really feeling anything, and that's okay. Just continue to slowly move about the room, noticing the difference between one space and another. And sometimes the qualitative the qualitative difference in the spaces is incredibly subtle. Sometimes it's just, you have to listen very carefully to your hand to feel the difference. And sometimes it's big. Sometimes you can move into what feels like a pocket of something. And so just continue to feel and walk around very slowly in your space. Just paying attention and listening with your hand. This is what you're doing. You're listening to the space of changes of the quality of the space with your hand. And another thing you can do is perhaps even walk up to a wall or toward a wall with that very subtle listening hand and see if you start to feel, as you do with a person, what different levels or layers might be of the quality of the space underneath your hand. And now this exercise, as we found with exercise 2, you don't have to necessarily do it just kinesthetically. You can be developing your other senses. So what I'd like you to do is now close your eyes again. And perhaps if you did find a pocket in the room that felt heavier or tingly, or where there seemed to be a big difference, close your eyes. Feel into your body once again. Feel like you're inside your body. And allow the space that pervades you and the room to be holding the information, if there's any information to be had. And see if, with just your awareness, you can sense that difference that you felt in the room with your hand. And that might come to you in different ways. It might be a feeling in your stomach. You might feel it in your body. You might see something. You might see colors. You might see a density of energy. So just kind of feel into how is that information coming to you from the space, that difference. And if you didn't feel a difference when you were walking around, just pick a corner of the room that's opposite of you and do the same thing. Just feel into it, just kind of gently ask within yourself, what does the space over there in that corner feel like? How is it different from other space in the room if it is? And so just asking questions and gently being curious. And now expand this ability to feel and know what's happening in a space, in an empty space inside the room. See if you can do it auditorily. Some people do it auditorily and not visually and not kinesthetically, or it's easier for them in one way or the other. Do you hear tones or crackles? Do you hear a shift? Do the sound waves move through that area of the room easier or more quickly? Is there a smell or a taste that can tell you about what's happening in that empty space in the room? And so I invite you to just continue expanding your awareness, making sure that you're in your body, but also knowing that the space that is inside your body is also outside of your body. It's the same continuous space, it's the same plane, and there are a lot of different energy fields that are running through this. And so you're not constrained to just using your physical senses directly to encounter this, but you can also use your perception of your internal senses to get information. So thank you.